Hello, and welcome to the podcast, Simple Enlightenment. I'm your host, Dean Graves. We greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. The objective of the Simple Enlightenment podcast is to provide the listener with truthful information that will aid their progression along the enlightenment path. In the Earth experience, much, if not most, of the information about the world and who we are is lost to distortion, and access to truth is either completely lacking or severely contorted. Accurate, truthful information is essential to counteract the foibles of falsity and superstition, but it is incumbent upon the individual listener to recognize the information as truth, surrender false beliefs and perceptions, and choose truth over distortion. The task of this podcast doesn't include creating a club, religion, or organization of any sort. There's nothing to join or dogma to subscribe to, but there is a significant onus placed upon the listeners to become aware and to be discerning about the prevailing perspectives and how they may differ from the information offered herein. However, if the information offered in the podcast doesn't resonate with you, meaning it doesn't feel like truth, then we ask that you simply dismiss it and leave it for others who do find it helpful. We have no desire to convince you of anything that doesn't ring true. An individual's behavior is a direct reflection of his or her degree of enlightenment, and a goal of the podcast is to improve the behavior of everyone in the world by promoting their individual evolutionary consciousness advancement. This is an ambitious task, but the longest journey begins with a single step, and as individual behavior changes, so changes the behavior of groups, and as groups change, so changes the quality of life available to all. The measure of a person's enlightenment is reflected in his or her happiness, because the more enlightened, the less pain and or suffering created in daily life. Even so, happiness is a relative measure because the pursuit of enlightenment is the pursuit of infinity, and offers an infinite number of possible paths to its attainment. The intended method to choose the path appropriate for you is to select the path that feels right. Every person is enlightened to the degree they have allowed themselves to be enlightened, which means that every individual controls the path and velocity of their enlightenment success. Everything is consciousness, and every person is imbued with the potential for enlightenment because they are designed with the potential to be aware, the tool necessary to further enlightenment. Awareness of the self is the universal key to enhancing enlightenment and empowers the individual to discern truth from distortion, which is important because creation consists of a series of distortions made various by the experiencer's degree of enlightenment. It is only when we can surrender attachment to the authenticity of the distortions that we can experience greater truth and thereby further advance enlightenment. The Buddha instructed his audiences to question everything, and we encourage you to do the same. How to listen to the episodes. The episodes are presented as a course of study, with each new episode building upon the previous one. While it's not necessary to listen to all of them in order, it would be helpful if for no other reason than there is a unique nomenclature used to describe aspects of the material that aren't generally available elsewhere. If you don't understand the vocabulary used, the material will have much less value. The initial episodes are crammed with overview information that is necessary to better understand the information in later episodes. For example, in Episode 2, we explain the purpose of creation, the beginning of creation, the first distortion of the Creator that is the foundation for all creations, and many other concepts necessary to comprehend the forthcoming information. If you are familiar with the raw material available through L&L Research, you will be ahead of the game because much of the material will be familiar, but there is more information offered here that will hopefully provide a deeper understanding and the ability to more practically apply it to your own journey. Episodes 3 and 4 continue to provide background information on the structure of creation, describing densities, dimensions, soul streams, and, for the most part, the workings of the Creator being levels of consciousness. Episode 5 explains the beginning of physicality as we know it, and Episode 6 continues explaining the lower foundational and experiential densities that humans enjoy. Episode 7 is divided into 2 parts and begins to explain humans' experience on Earth and other planets that the population experienced prior to Earth. Episodes 8 through 11 discuss the earthly population's historical experience, its primary purpose at the level of consciousness currently being experienced, the nature and purpose of stress, and much more. Episode 13 and 14 discusses meditation and mindfulness and the importance of each in the evolutionary process, especially among the earthly population, along with major developmental problems encountered on Earth, including anger, addiction, and control dramas. Episode 15 through 26 present information on the archetypical mind. It is the blueprint for how humans process thoughts and why we perceive things as we do. Episode 27 explains Wanderers, a very special addition to the Earth experience of very special people that have volunteered to be a part of the experience to help it along. Episode 28 through 32 is a series called The Human Condition, and more specifically explains why we are the way we are, and why we continue to experience pain and suffering. These episodes also offer the prescription for how to advance ourselves through the plight of the current Earth experience, and can be very helpful in transforming the life of those individuals still enjoying the lowest experiential density. Forgiveness is the topic of episode 33, which is a furtherance of the healing begun in the previous episode. Episode 34 is the beginning of a series of episodes on truth, and after listening to all of the episodes in sequential order, we encourage you to stay with us and continue to listen to new episodes. As Earth transforms into a new experiential density, life continues to evolve and change, and Simple Enlightenment will continue to post episodes to update the status of the changes, but also to continue to provide guidance to listeners awarenessly pursuing their own evolution. Creation is not stagnant, and as life on Earth changes, we shall continue to provide insights that will assist the listener in the pursuit of understanding, truth, and happiness. Enlightenment is important because it is the process of consciousness's evolution. The process requires the surrendering of attachments to the authenticity of distortions and seeing things as they really are, which requires the recognition and acceptance of truth. In truth is the realization of freedom from the artificial constraints imposed by false beliefs, superstitions, and self-imposed suffering. We swim in a sea of truth, but we seldom are able to recognize and accept truth. It is through the process of enlightenment that we learn of the law of one. Briefly summarized, the law of one explains that all things are one, that there is no polarity, no right or wrong, no disharmony, but only identity. All is one, and that one is love light, light love, the infinite creator. This concludes the introduction and how-to instructions for the podcast, and we thank you for listening. The recording of each episode is downloadable with a transcript available from the website at podcastenlightenment.org. Please share these with family and friends that you believe will find them useful. Just a word before we leave you to your enlightenment journey. Simple Enlightenment is entirely listener-funded, and we rely upon the generosity of people like you to keep us going. So while at the website, please make a donation, and now please enjoy the information provided in the podcast Simple Enlightenment. Until next time, we leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Theme music for Simple Enlightenment is written and performed by Dr. Ken Wendt.